We all know you're one of the greatest players ever. From time to time, you appeared in headlines for various incidents, things that happen, sometimes on the court, around the court, oftentimes off the court. If there was one of those incidents that you could take back and say, man, I really wish
None of them. They all shape you. Probably the best thing ever happened to me was the spitting incident in New Jersey. Because I was out of control, man, to be honest with you. Because, I was mad at my dad. I was mad at Miss Gomez, my Spanish teacher in high school. I was mad at my high school. I was playing angry. I wasn't playing just to be great at basketball. I wanted to shove it up everybody's ass who had ever did anything to me. Because what happened was, I didn't graduate from high school. I flunked Spanish and had to go to summer school. And we graduated outside, and I stood on the top step of the baseball stadium by myself for 2 hours and cried for 2 hours. I went home and I said, this is the last day. I'm getting everybody back. I'm gonna be a great player and stick it up all their asses. And I played angry all the time for 3 years in college. And like I can't even remember when that incident happened. I was in the NBA a few years, probably my third or fourth year if I remember. I think at that point I was becoming a star.
And you were so people know, you were spitting at a heckler, and it
no, I didn't spit. I actually
landed on the girl.
I actually wasn't spitting at the heckler. If you go back and look at the tape, I kind of just spit down, and it got out of hand.
Okay.
But I wasn't trying to spit on anybody, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It's still stupid. I shouldn't have did it. But man, I remember sitting in my hotel room, crying like a little baby. The moral of the story is, if you play on the edge, it's just a matter of time when you go off the edge. And that night I was sitting there, I said, okay, this is the low point for you. And Sevi, we all have to grow up. And a lot of people want to blame stuff. Sometimes it is your fault. Sometimes it is your fault. That was my coming, as my grandmother said, coming to Jesus moment. Like, it's your fault you flunked that class, not their fault. So when I left that hotel room that night, I was saying to myself, okay, let that go. Baggage, I call it baggage. Just try to be a great player. Because when I played basketball, you can go back and look at it, man, you can see I'm going 100 miles an hour. I'm raging bull. I'm trying to get it done. And I had to step back and say, some of this stuff is your fault. Very few people look in the mirror and say stuff is their fault.